My brother, my sister, him don burst out again. Check wetin P2P talk about Nigeria. When they talk, they go feel say the young man dey lie. Just check out. Watch and see.
Under 5%. Vietnam was actually 96%. Today, they have less than 3%. So hours that we have been doing people out of poverty. And just to illustrate to you why borrowing is different here and other countries. I was in Bangladesh in 2010. I've studied 31 countries, comparing them with Nigeria. In Bangladesh in 2010, Your Excellency, they had a GDP of $115 billion with a per capita of $747 per capita, and their debt was $45 billion, 36% of their GDP in 2010. Nigeria as at then had a GDP of $375 billion, per capita of $2,250. So we are 3 times Vietnam in terms of per capita, which is a real measure of wealth. And our debt then was $30 billion, less than 10% of our GDP. Today, Vietnam GDP is $340 billion. They've grown by 3 times. Their per capita is $2,050. They've grown by 10 times. Their debt also increased to about $116 billion, which remains even less than 36%, because there is now about 32% of their GDP, which means they borrowed more, they invested it. If you go to Vietnam today, the exports, their overseas diaspora fund, everything has increased. Today, Vietnam exports garments, $36 billion, twice what we earn from oil. Garments, they're not just garments. That's what they export. Not it's something that is sophisticated. And all small businesses, which we're not doing here. And in our situation, our GDP today is about $400 billion. Our per capita, which is a real measure of wealth, is now 1,000, call it 2,000. So we've actually lost about 11% of what we were in 2010. And our debt has gone from $30 billion to $120 billion. So we borrowed about $100 billion, which nobody can explain what where was invested. And when, as they say, it's for capital project. If you borrow money and it didn't impact on your GDP, it didn't impact on your capital, you consumed it. That is the crisis we face as a nation. The consequence is that our debt servicing now is over 90% of our income. In 2001, first 5 months of 2001, Your Excellency, Nigeria as a country made $1,847 billion naira. We use 1,802 to service debts. 98%, only 45 remaining for a country of 200 million people. And we're borrowing more. We said last year, budget was 13.5 trillion. We are going to borrow only 5 trillion. We borrowed 7. This year, our budget plus subsidy and everything will be hitting about 20. They say they are going to borrow only about 6. Your Excellency, we're not going to borrow less than 10. And that is the crisis that was. And what are we even borrowing? With these monies, we are now issuing foreign bonds of 2040, 2045, 26, when we are no longer going to be here. And our children, in the past 1 year, Nigeria has not put 1 naira in the sinking fund. Not 1 naira. So even when you are servicing debt, you're supposed to be saving money to pay the debt. When it matures, we are not putting money there. The crisis is that when we are dead, our children will have nowhere because we've eaten their future. And nobody is talking about that. And we need to move this country. And there's nothing wrong in this country. It's a country that can be changed. Look at something like Taraba. Look at what is happening all over the world. Today we are struggling with oil, sharing of oil money. Who is doing that? Even in America, that is the biggest country in the world. Texas, that is producing several more oil than we are producing. The biggest state in America is California. And what does California do? Texas not even number one. They're not number two. They're number three. Texas GDP today is 3.4 trillion, 8 times Nigerian GDP. They have no oil. What they're exporting is agriculture and knowledge. Agricultural materials and knowledge. That's all that is making them that thing. Well, we are here fighting over a diminishing access that has since expired. All you didn't say Venezuela. Venezuela have 10 times more oil than Nigerian deposit, and yet they collapse. And we're here fighting about oil. No country is talking about oil today. Vietnam, countries and nations have ever. Look at the vast land I saw when we are alive here today. I told the people in Niger, you have 76.3 square kilometers of land in Niger State. Your Excellency, they can't feed themselves. They can't feed Nigeria. They don't export anything. The other one is natural. When you deal with natural one, because people have means of livelihood, you deal with support to your security agencies, which is renewable every year. And with this, you generate more money. Every day, Your Excellency, we say in this country, and we don't have revenue. We don't have revenue. Even if our government said the revenue to GDP is too low, it has to be low. Because there are millions of people who are not doing anything. The more your people are doing something, the more your economy is productive, the more revenue you generate. You can't generate revenue for people who are not doing anything. It's a simple thing. It's been done everywhere in the world, and it's very easy, Your Excellency. It's not a case if you go, and where do you generate the most revenue? In your youth, the young ones, in their productive age. You have to invest in them. And what do they need? They need access to capital and training. They have the idea. They can change the world. It's not a sophisticated thing. Nigerian youths are talented. All they need is support. And it has to be government determined support. It's happening in China. If you go to Indonesia, they have a particular number of their loans that go to small businesses. What changes the country is small corporations. Nothing by saying it the way we are saying it here. There's no money. They'll tell you, oh, every day here government support to small businesses. It's not true. The only way you will know it's not true is that go and check the total lending of all the banks. I've shared 2 banks. It's about 30 trillion. Out of which less than 5% go to small businesses. It cannot happen. Indonesia is written 25% of all their loans go to small businesses. China is 20, they just increased it to 10. The consequence is that if you go to these 2 countries, if you go to Indonesia, 98% of the companies are micro, small businesses. In fact, Indonesia, a country of about 250 million persons, their total employment is 140. Small businesses created 130 million jobs. Only 10 million is created by other people. In Indonesia, they even have Ministry of Small Businesses to support it. In China, as good as China is, China today, all their productivity, all their GDP is about 60-65% for small businesses. The total employment in China is 800 million. Small businesses provide 60% of that, which is 540 million. So you must support this engine. It is critical. We're not doing that. What we are doing here is celebration, sharing. Nigeria, everything Nigeria has is sharing formula. No one comes anything. All that I came to ask you people is that we need to move this country from sharing formula to production formula. It cannot continue. We must move from consumption to creating wealth. Other countries have done it for the future of our children. It is critical. It is not something anybody can tell. They can tell you, oh, it's sophisticated. No. I've gone from one country to the other, studying. I just came back from Morocco recently, not up to a month ago. Morocco exported last year 40-something billion worth of exports. Not oil. Agricultural products, 8 billion. Morocco. Vehicles, car manufacturing, 10 billion. I can go on. Tourism, 3-point-something billion. That's what they have last year in Morocco. Morocco is just here. So it's not as if this thing, you ask about power generation. This is the only country where to switch on your light, everybody knows how much power is being produced. Everybody knows whether the national grid has failed or whether every other country just put light on and off. Here you must know everything. You must even be calling for government as